Hi everybody, welcome to my Cook at Home series with Tonya here at my Cooking on the Bay kitchen. All the dishes that we're cooking in this series are from my Cook Real Food program at Cooking on the Bay, and they are all part of my low carbohydrate healthy fat program that I run here. So today we're going to be cooking a duck liver pâté, which is one of our absolute favourites. It's usually features on the French Odyssey cooking class menu, but and it obviously also falls into the Cook Real Food menu. I've got my onions already cooking. I've started them off in a cold pan with some extra virgin olive oil and a little knob of butter, about so much butter. And you can see that they're cooking down slowly and nicely. And they're going to cook for about 10 minutes until they become nice and translucent. If we wanted them browned, we just need to turn up the heat, but we just want them a nice lusciousness. Now this brings out the nice sweetness in the onion, the fructose, and it makes it a lot more digestible for people sometimes who find it hard on their digestion. So once we've cooked the onions as we would like them, we're then going to turn the heat up in the pan and add our bacon, and we're going to toss that round to brown the bacon. When that's finished, we're going to add our garlic and just cook it for a minute or two. The garlic does not need to be cooked for very long, just a little bit. Then we're going to remove it all from the pan, and then we're going to add our duck liver. Now you can use chicken livers. Chicken livers are also nice. I've used those for many years, but my favourite now is duck liver. And I guess one of the reasons is because it's readily available from Luv-a-Duck down in Port Melbourne. So we're going to take out the sinew part. I'll show you how to do that. Just remove those sinewy bits. Years ago, we used to get the odd liver, the odd kidney and heart in here with the livers. You can see we're going to remove that. I've removed it from most of them, but I've left a couple, and I'll just show you what we do. We just tease it out. We don't want to cut and lose too much of the duck. We just see all the fibrous, sinewy stuff, which we don't want. There we go. We just don't want that. And we'll just make sure they're all about the same size. So I'll just tease that out too. Sometimes people tend to take out too much of the liver, but you don't want to do that. You want to just take out the sinew. Okay. Just cut that in half so that it doesn't take long to cook. Oh, there's a bit more there. The rest of them I have removed earlier. But I just wanted to show you that we don't waste the precious duck liver. The liver is very good for you too. It's got lots of iron. I think that's right. Good. So I'll add that to there. So we're going to cook the duck liver in a nice hot pan, very hot pan, with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and butter, and we're going to cook them in batches, small batches, probably 2 batches, because there's about 300 grams here. We don't want to reduce the heat of the pan. We want to flash them in the pan, and they only take about 30 seconds or so. We just want them to change colour, and I'll talk about that while I'm actually cooking them. Then we're going to add a little bit of thyme to the pan. We're going to return the onions and bacon and garlic mixture to the duck when we're finished with the duck. We're going to throw in some brandy, about 30 mils of brandy, which adds a lovely flavour, and we want to just burn off the brandy. You can also use port if you wish. The juice of half a lemon or so, and we'll put a little bit in now, and then we'll add a little bit more when we adjust it in the food processor. We've got, we'll put in some cracked pepper, some grated nutmeg, and then basically we're finished and we can take it over to the food processor. So let's just have a look at this here. I think that those onions are pretty good. So I'm going to take them out and heat up the pan ready for the bacon. Yeah, I'm going to put it on the hot burner to get the heat up quickly. I'll just get those last bits of onion out. Okay, so now add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil for the bacon. Just wait a couple of minutes. We're also, when we finish this, we're going to add some melted butter. We're going to process the liver mixture, to which we're adding melted butter just in a trickle down the machine, and it incorporates, and until it's incorporated to just enough, I've got about 120 mils of butter here. Sometimes we use it oil and sometimes we don't. It just depends on, I guess, the actual quantities and how we've cooked the rest of the dish. Okay, so we've got our nice sizzle. So just get this nicely crispy, coloured. And when we add the brandy to the pan, we actually get all this nice sediment out of the pan too, which is what we're wanting. Extra bits of flavour there. When we've finished our pâté, we're going to put it into a nice little dish. I always cover it, unless I'm eating it immediately, using it immediately, as we obviously are in cooking classes when you're here. When you're here and we're eating it as part of our lunch, we just cover it with cling wrap, and we put the cling wrap actually on the surface of the pâté, otherwise it will discolour. You know how sometimes once the air hits the liver, it oxidises and it can go a nasty colour, which we don't want. So the cling film on the surface protects it, as the same way when you put cling film over the surface of a custard. But to keep it longer, and you can keep your pâté for up to about a week or so, if you cover it and seal it with clarified butter. So we're going to clarify some butter and put a topping of that on, just so you can see how that is. And I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Add our garlic. See that nice and full in there? Nice sediment. I will put that in here. Nice bits of. You can also add mushrooms. 50 to 100 grams of mushrooms finely chopped up are also nice to add to a pâté. So we will now cook our duck livers. Heat up the pan. Just add a little bit of oil and butter at a time. And if I do put in too much, I always tip it back out. Wait till it's sizzling. 300 grams makes quite a nice quantity. 2 little pots, that size pot that I've got there, possibly 3, we'll see. But it only takes a little while to cook it, so it's not necessary to make an awful lot. I buy it in large bags. At Luv-a-Duck they sell it in 2 kilo bags, which is actually quite a lot for you at home. But I measure it out into 300 gram bags and freeze it. So they're usually always frozen. You can see how quickly. You want to just toss these as quickly as I'm doing them, because if you cook them for too long, they become bitter. That's what you don't want. So just until they look like so. Nicely browned and coloured. A little bit of bacon still splattering in that pan. People tend to worry about them and they overcook them. So rinse them out. You can see it's simply, and that's why you don't want to overload your pan. You want to just have them nicely colouring there. They are going back in the pan for a few minutes. Oh, I might just add my brandy now. So watch out, we're going to have a big burner. And I'm going to turn the heat off for a sec. I'm just going to scrape the bottom of the pan to get all those lovely bacon sediment pieces of the pan. And you can see the pan ends up nice and clean after you've done that deglazing. So we're going to put it all back in. This is one of my favourite tools in the kitchen, my silicone spatula. Really scrapes out bowls nicely and saves you wasting a lot of food down the sink. So I put the heat back on a little bit. And now we're going to add our lemon juice. And we're going to add, it's about, say the juice of half a lemon to a lemon, 20 mils to start with. We may add some more later when we're tasting. We're going to add our thyme. Now I prefer to use fresh thyme, but I don't have fresh thyme at the moment. So I'm putting in about a teaspoon of dried thyme. That's two half teaspoon measures there. But about 3 sprigs of thyme is really nice. Interestingly, I've noticed that it appears that my favourite ingredients in this kitchen appear to be thyme, oregano, basil, parsley and nutmeg, which is interesting. They're the ones I tend to use a lot, unless we're cooking Mediterranean food or Moroccan food, when we tend to use, particularly with Moroccan food, we use more turmerics and corianders. Okay. So let's add a little bit of salt and our nutmeg, and then it's ready for the food processor. Turn that heat off. A few grains of, I've turned that heat off. And we may need more nutmeg later as well. We will need to season again with salt and pepper. And as I said, I usually add more lemon juice as well, so we'll do a bit of a taste test. You could add chilli to this too. There are lots of things that you could add if you wished. So let's take it over and pop it in the food processor. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to be melting my butter ready for the process too. So I'll put that on the heat over here. You can see by deglazing the pan with the brandy and the lemon juice that you've got a very nice clean pan there, one that won't take very long to wash. Okay, so we're going to puree it with the old, it makes such a noise, my machine, but we're going to process it in the food processor. Now, if you want it very fine and more like a parfait, you need to put it through a sieve and add some cream. But we're not going to put it through a sieve and we're not adding cream. I quite like the rustic texture of the pâté that I make. So here we go. Oh, you can smell the thyme in there, can't you? It's beautiful. Beautiful. I don't know whether I mentioned before, but with chicken livers, which I used to use all the time, chicken liver makes a much darker looking pâté and a lot more intense flavour, which I think is interesting because you wouldn't expect so. You'd expect the duck to be more intense. may just have a little taste. Oh, it's always so good. Okay. Now we're just going to slowly drizzle this in. Don't always add all of that. In fact, I don't think we need much more at all today. I'm just going to check the flavours. So we need a little bit. Hi everybody, welcome back here. Now in the meantime, my battery of my phone, of my camera, died, and tomorrow I'll be going to buy a new battery. So we had to put the pâté into a little container, or a couple of containers, without you watching, but that's all we did. We tasted the final tasting, added a little bit more seasoning, lemon juice, thyme, salt and pepper, and that was all. So because I put it into the little container, I didn't want it to oxidise, and I didn't want it to have the butter on the top. So I actually covered it, as I said, with the cling film actually on the surface of the pâté, so you can see that, and you can see that it's retained its colour beautifully, which is good for you to see, okay? And so I'm going to just take the cling film off, and then we're going to sprinkle with a little bit of thyme over the top there. I've got the butter melting. It's just a little bit of thyme for decoration. I've got the butter melting in here. So with clarified butter, what you're doing, can you see that, Michael? What you're doing is removing the milk solids. It's the milk solids that brown the butter for burnt butter cookies and biscuits and things. But for this, we just want the pure butter, the fat of the butter, no milk solids, and so we have to melt it. Can you come in here, Michael, and have a look? So we're melting it like so, and you can see that the milk solids fall to the bottom, and the beautiful clarified butter is on top, and that is what is called ghee also in Indian cooking. So what we're going to do is to simply strain it through the muslin, leaving the milk solids in the pot. You don't want that to be added to the top of your butter, top of your pâté. Okay, so there's all the milk solids left in there. And that's fine for when you're wanting to make those burnt butter biscuits, okay? But we don't want it here. So there you've got your lovely clarified butter without any milk. So you know it's going to... ghee, this clarified butter, will last in your fridge for a long, long time. It has a very high smoking point, and it is protecting the pâté so that it won't go off, and it will keep for quite some weeks. I'm just spreading it around. So there you go. So then once that's set, it sets like a seal, just as wax does on the top of your jams. And we'll keep that nicely, and you can see it looks very pretty. It makes a lovely gift as well. So please do go and make your duck liver pâté. It's delicious, very good for you, and perfect for a low carbohydrate and healthy fat diet. Bye-bye for now.